Welcome back to Go Gaddis Real Estate Radio right here on AM 920 The Answer. I'm Cleve Gaddis, and I'm here to make your real estate really clear and simple and worry-free. And if you want to connect with us, and I hope you do, it is really easy. Go to gogaddisradio.com. That's GOGADDIS radio.com. You can ask questions, make comments, you can push back, challenge things we say, share ideas, ask us to do some research on your neighborhood, or subscribe to our podcast or to our YouTube channel, and we would love to have you. In the second segment, we had Jan Smith, who's the owner of Design to Sell Staging on, and we're talking all things staging, Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us.
Sure.
Okay, homeowner calls, agent calls, says we need to stage this house. Maybe it's empty. Maybe it's not empty. Let's say it's partially empty. So it's half furnished and it's half not furnished. And the agent is like, well, we need to have the kitchen staged and the family room staged and maybe the master bedroom staged. And so you go out and stage the home. Do the sellers ever decide they love their house now more after you put the staging stuff in there? Like, what happens when they see it all staged up and looking pretty?
Well, a lot of the comments that I get is we should have done this sooner.
Oh, so
why are we doing this? Now it looks so good. So we don't ever have anybody that changes their mind that doesn't want to sell, but they say they want to buy it. You know, it's like they kind of fall in love again with their home once it gets staged and they see it in a different light, because it is a transition from the way they live in it, from the way they need to market and sell it. So it turned it into more of a product on the market when it's staged. So
it sounds to me like staging a home can even make the owner who's selling it fall back in love with it, which is really an interesting thing. And it fits right into what we were discussing in the prior segment, that in many cases, buyers, and it might be sellers too, they don't have a whole lot of vision about all the possibilities they have for changing the condition or the way something looks. And I think it's kind of sad when people live in a home for 20 years, they don't do anything to it, then they spend $30,000 right before they sell it and put the new countertops in the bathrooms and the floors, because it's so fun to enjoy that stuff.
Right. But it is true, though. You do see that a lot where you're getting it ready to go on the market. And, you know, I guess get that comment that we wish we would have done it sooner. So,
Yep. I don't know if Kelly has talked to you about this already, but she and I are in the process. Kelly, for those who don't remember, Kelly is our listing marketing coordinator, and she is absolutely extraordinary. And she and I have been rehabbing a house, revitalizing, I would say. We have taken that thing from dead to being alive and beautiful. And I think we're going to want you to help stage that one. And here's what's interesting. It's only in the high 300s price range, so it's lower than a lot of houses, but it looks so good that I'm almost positive that staging the family room, staging the kitchen, staging the master, maybe a couple little knickknacks in the other bathrooms and stuff like that, things you do. So we'll be talking to you about that fairly soon.
Good. I'm excited. That sounds like a great project.
We might be ready. Now, you have to promise me that I can show you the before pictures too. Because when you look at it, you'll go, "Oh my gosh, that was a sad house."
I have to appreciate
that was the sad house that nobody took care of for sure. So, have you ever seen a listing that maybe had gone through a full listing period and nobody seemed to care about it or want to buy it, and then it's staged and then it sells right away?
Of course, yeah, we get. I mean, ideally, we like to get the call right before it goes on the market, but a lot of times we'll get that call where they're, have gone through an agent, or they've gone through two agents who didn't believe in staging, or didn't, for whatever reason they didn't. And so when they're on their second or third agent who brings me in, and they're just kind of dumbfounded that and even it always kind of baffles me. I've had some sellers that say, well, I wanted to stage, but my previous agent said I didn't need to. Like, I was willing. So it's just interesting, where some sellers are obviously, willing to do the extra. So it's just having the seller and the realtor, on the same page and wanting to go that extra step and for the marketing aspect. So
that totally makes sense. And one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about over the last year, or really even in 2 years, is that in most cases, sellers they don't have any awareness of how their home compares to the other homes that buyers are seeing. And my guess is that staging the home only contributes positively to making the experience a buyer has when they come to that particular seller's home way better than when they go to the other seller's home. It's kind of like we talked about earlier. It's kind of like the story has to be told so the buyer knows what's supposed to happen.
Right, exactly. You have to kind of show them how they can live, how can they use the space. You have to kind of lay out the lifestyle. But a lot of times I'll tell, um, the realtor when I'm meeting with them, that's like again, the buyer only knows what they see,
Yep.
so it's like you have to kind of show it to them.
Yep.
And that's important because otherwise and you'll have to, you also have to be priced right and look better than the competition. And so obviously pricing is not my lane.
Yes.
But I can make it look better than the competition. And so if you have those two, and I always say if you're comparing, the house next door that's for sale and your house, if you can make yours look better and connect with the buyer, they're going to choose your home, apples to apples.
If the buyer ranks at number one, they're going to probably
Right.
want to buy number one. You sent us
Mhm.
a sort of collection of photos of master bedrooms and family rooms and I believe offices. And you showed a before picture and then you showed an after picture. And one of the ones that I wanted to talk about was the one of the office. And you
Okay.
sent a before picture, had a rug in the middle of the room and it wasn't ugly stuff. It was just stuff everywhere. And that's the way it started. And then I saw another picture of it with everything gone. So the sellers had moved out, rug was gone, all the stuff was gone. And interestingly, when it was in its original condition, I would have never guessed that it was an office. When it was absolutely empty, I would have also, had I gone into the home, I would have guessed more that that was the living room or something like that, maybe even a dining room. I'm sure the dining room was on the other side. But in the staged version, where you have the rug in the center of the room, you have a desk facing the door, you have a beautiful lamp in the corner, you've got some greenery and a clock and all that kind of stuff, it just says, "This is my office."
I can work here, right? Yes.
Which
It's
is,
clearly defined. And I think that's the main thing is clearly defined spaces because sometimes houses will have rooms or spaces that are vague or ambiguous. And especially, and you touched on a point where you said if I walked into this house, I wouldn't know. But the main thing is if I look at this property online,
I
you
definitely
want to
wouldn't know.
be able to clearly, and that's where your buyer's going to see it first is online. And
Honestly,
so that's where you've got to be able to capture, not the cluttered mess,
yep,
not the completely empty space where you're not sure what room it is, but
yep.
a clearly defined office. And so again, the buyer may not use it as an office, they may use it as a playroom or a yoga, but we gave it a function and then the buyer can see this is an option for what we may be able to use it for if they work from home or whatnot.
Love that. In the first photo you sent, I would have guessed game room if I saw that online. Messy
Right.
game room,
Right.
game room at a home where somebody needs to clean up. And if I looked at the one that was empty, I would say either a living room or possibly even a bedroom. If I couldn't see things, I can see
The angle,
the little
right.
newel post right in the corner, so I know it's right there where the stairs go up. But it is such an interesting thing what a big difference these visuals make. And we're not going to be in this type of market forever. Eventually it'll go back and it'll lean much more toward the seller, and the seller might not have to do all this kind of stuff. I'm sure it still makes a good difference and puts money in their pocket if they do it, even when the market is really a screaming seller's market as well. Would you agree with that?
Right. So I think it's just all based on, your location where you are in Atlanta, the style of your house, the price of your house. Do you have some, maybe some buyer feedback that you need to look at? It just depends on the specific property. But I think overall, at minimum, each property could use staging at some level. We may not need to bring in a whole house full of furniture, but you
Mm-hmm.
may need to, before you list it, whether
Yeah.
it's vacant or occupied, consult a professional so then that you have an objective third party that can look at your house like a buyer would,
Yeah.
as opposed to you that have lived there for however long and
Mm-hmm.
you get nose blind, you
Mm-hmm.
don't pick up on things.
We're all agreeing here that staging is a worthwhile thing to do. Now, if someone doesn't need, if so it's not empty and they don't need a full house full of staging, and they just need, new comforter for the master bed, some new pillows, they need some new different things around, you can do all different levels of staging, right? So somebody could get just a small, let's just call it the decorator package, where they use all their own furniture, but they just kind of spiff it up. Is that correct?
Correct. So, for example, we staged a property this week that it was a divorce situation, and the seller needed a couple of beds and a couple of lamps and some artwork, just to fill in.
Because I'm guessing somebody had taken some of those.
So we needed to fill in some gaps.
Yep.
And so they didn't need, but it was just what I call an accessory package, where we come in and we, stage it using what they have, but
Yep.
maybe, bring in nicer bedding for the photos and things like that.
Love that. Now, if somebody wants to reach you, it is Designed to Sell Staging and Redesign.
.com.
Design to Sell Staging and Redesign. Or you could just go to gogaddisradio.com, click on Contact Us, say, have the staging lady call me, and we certainly will. If you're an Atlanta resident thinking of selling your home anytime in the next 12 months, remember, we offer the Upside program, where we will figure out what you could sell your house if you leave it in its as-is condition, what you could sell it for if you want a cash offer, what you could sell it for if you want to make some improvements to the house, which may include staging. We can project for you and predict for you what that sales price would be, and we can make arrangements for you to help you find the money to buy your new home before you sell your existing home. To find out more on this, go to gogaddisradio.com, GOGADDIS radio.com. And if the Rehab and Refresh program works for you, who knows? You might get to meet Jan yourself. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back in our neighborhood spotlight, we're featuring Brookshire. Let me make sure that's right. Yeah, Brookshire and Woodstock. Easy for me to say. Also, open houses. Are they a real estate gold mine or just window shopping sprees on the weekends? And PMI or MIP? There's 3 little letters that can make a big, big dent in your wallet. Stick with us. We've got those subjects and more. We'll be back.